Welcome back to another Rockford CCG Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers deck profile series video. I have Will Howard from Virginia. Thanks for joining us, Will.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell the good people about yourself a bit, because I know you've topped at Nationals and you topped at Virginia, so some people may not know who you are. So why don't you talk about yourself a little bit, and then we'll get into the deck.
Cool. William. I've been playing this game for a very long time, since one of the original King of Fighters sets came out is when I started. And then I took a really long break when it was in that really weird transition phase. Most notable card is Addy Syndicate. It was a bad card.
Sure.
And that nerf needed to happen. So I stopped and came back with Street Fighter when that came out. I messed around with a bunch of characters. That's when I instantly started playing Vega. That's what I topped with at here in Virginia. At our PTC. I made fourth, losing to Rob's Zinakris deck. And going and getting top 16 at Nationals and losing the first round of that to Serini playing his Kung Jin deck that proceeded to kill me on turn 2, and I checked a 1, unfortunately.
Ugh.
So, not much you can do about it.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Okay. So, what drew you to Jedah? Because I know you said you picked him up pretty much right after Nationals, so why don't you tell us about why you chose him?
So, I thought this character was insane when I first saw him. He's basically a 7-hander. Because of his bottom ability, but I'll go through his abilities.
Okay,
his first one, of course, is the this attack is +1 or -1 damage for each of your opponent's momentum. You either are pumping a bunch of damage if you need to late game, or you're minusing all the damage on your opponent's attacks. When they're trying to kill you. His response destroy foundation. After you block an attack, your opponent adds one of their foundations to their momentum. I actually don't use this ability as much as the first one, honestly.
Sure.
But it's still very strong. It's an extra damage reduction. On your opponent's turn when they're attacking you, which is pretty decent.
That's the ability I forget to use the most. If I'm playing this, if I block stuff and I know I need to do it, I always forget to do it, and it always ends up costing me the game because I didn't do it. But like in a pinch, like if you're blocking with one of those special cards that give you attack off of block, I mean you can reversal off the block, I usually forget to do it when I do that because I'm doing too many responses at once.
Yeah, it's actually it's really fun. So when we get more into the deck, there's a lot that happens off of me blocking with stuff.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then of course his bottom ability, enhance once per turn. If your opponent has 0 momentum, they add a ready foundation to their momentum, and you draw a card.
Yeah.
Best part about that, I think, actually, is the fact that it has to be a ready foundation. So if they want to keep some of their good foundations, they have to commit them to be able to not add it in. Or they have to keep it ready and commit their bad ones and then lose this one to them. It's really fun. Okay,
so where are we going first?
So if we're cool, I'm gonna go ahead and start on the foundations.
Sounds good.
For my screen, I have it all sorted out by the quantity, so the number of foundations that are in the deck. I'll go with the one-ofs, of course, first.
Sounds good.
I have a one-of Sweet Nothings in the deck. They should be on his screen, obviously, so you guys can see the I won't say it for all of them. But it's a 2/4 no block. That's why it's only one of. It's still very strong. It lets me, in case there's an attack that I can't deal with or anything, I get to go ahead and just stop it. But the fact that it's a non-block and it's a 4, and we're actually already running a lot of 4 checks in the deck, is the reason why I have it at only as a one-of.
It almost, that card, I'm sorry, that card almost, like, it seems like they took this card and made Swordfish 2 in a way. They kind of like made Swordfish 2 a variant of this card because they kind of do similar things, except for the fact that your opponent doesn't get to do anything with Swordfish other than gain momentum, which is still really good. So it's kind of the same vein. So sorry to interrupt. So
no, you're fine. Please do so at any point. Yeah, I mean, them drawing a card and gaining 3 life. The draw card might kill you if they draw an attack. The gaining 3 life usually doesn't matter too much, so I'm okay with it. But it's just another way to just not die.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got the one-of copy of Unmet Demands. It's another 4 check. It's a really bad block. You're never blocking with this, so I kept it as a one-of. But I think it needed to be as a one-of, because even its first ability is fine.
Yeah.
It's an extra damage on all your attacks if you're trying to kill them. Or if you get to deadlock, because I watched the video from UFSU where they talked about how to beat Jedah and about how water has no deadlock, and they're not wrong.
Yeah, it's very, very few and far between.
I have 2 pieces of deadlock in this deck. It's this one and his attack, the 2 that they mentioned.
Yeah.
But this synergizes with like God of Thunder, of course, if your opponent's in deadlock, and it's all things that obviously I'll talk about as it goes through the deck.
That sounds good.
But it's a 1-of because bad block and a 4. I have the 1-of Save the Sea Rats. It's a unique, so it's another one of those things that I feel like I don't have to run it more than 1.
Yeah.
The ability to put a card into their momentum from their hand is really strong, but I actually would only use that trying to go in and kill them. The way that this deck ends up playing out is in the early stages. I actually don't want you to have too much of it.
Yeah.
And that's just because of the other cards, because I'm trying to keep you at 0 every turn to debuild you.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess we'll go into the 2-ofs. I have a 2-of Ophid in the deck. I mean, kind of safe to say that card's always going to be fine in the deck no matter what.
Yeah.
So not taking damage is always good. Although I don't want it to be 3 because the blocks in this deck are really good. So I can usually full block, and I've got Prepare to Fights.
Oh, sure.
If I was playing a deck that wasn't running Prepare to Fight, this would probably be 3, but 2 is fine. It's also a 2 diff, and there's a lot of 2 difficulty foundations in the deck too. You'll see.
Okay.
I've got a 2 of Spaceland. Only reason why I'm not running more than this card is because it's a 3 diff.
Yeah.
And I don't want to play too many because there are a couple of bad checks in here. Of course, State Enhance is really strong.
Yeah.
You just kill people off of it. But being able to respond with it and pitch their momentum is insane. That was the first thing that I thought of when I saw Jedah.
Yeah.
Because I had to go back and reread Spaceland to make sure it didn't say due to their effect, and it says it doesn't matter.
Yep. Yeah, there was a thread on the Reddit page that started, I think, yesterday. Someone asked this question if Spaceland interacted with Jedah's cards, and yes, it does, because of the weird ruling where you're not doing stuff to their cards, they're doing stuff to their cards. So, yeah, yep.
Yeah, and it's not even like after your opponent adds. It's not even like after. It's not saying after they add due to their ability. It's just saying after they add. So it doesn't matter from where. Best thing fun thing with this card, and it'll get touched back on later, is if you're playing it with his ultra rare, you can respond in the middle of them adding the foundation. So like if they want to try and get rid of your Spaceland, that's fine because you still get to respond with it before
there's a period
they add a foundation.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's nuts.
Yep.
Cool.
So you use Jedah, and then you use Sanguine's ability, and then respond with Spaceland, and they have no momentum anymore. Depending on where you're at, the 2 damage may matter, so you might not do it. But it's a way to put them back down to 0.
Yeah, sure.
And they either eat your Spaceland that's committed already, so it's already done its job.
Yeah. Or
they eat a ready foundation that isn't Spaceland.
Yeah. And that's good too, because Spaceland is very good in him, so you always want to try to keep that.
Yes. Sorry, too off topic there with that one.
Oh no, you're good. So, it's fine. I like that. I like going into why you're thinking of these things and why these cards are put in here, because people who watch these videos, even though they may just rip the list, at least if they watch it, they'll get an explanation on why these cards are in your deck. So, and that's what I want to do. I want people to learn on why cards are in certain decks and why some are not. So, yeah, continue.
No, yeah, definitely. Hey, man, if people want to rip the list, go for it. It's all good. It's actually more of a... I can't think of the word for it. Anyway, Honky Tonk Woman, 2 of. Card's really good. It just doesn't have a block, which is why I don't want to run more than 2 of it. But between its ability getting back a foundation and the next card I'll talk about with God of Thunder, there are plenty of things to get back. The foundations are pretty key with this deck. So being able to get back ones that get checked or anything is very strong. Yeah, of course, God of Thunder at 2. This you could probably debate this to be at a 3 of because the ability is really strong.
Yeah.
But it's that point of I don't want to run a lot of 3 diffs because of the bad checks. So playing them on turn 1 anyway is already pretty bad.
Sure.
But between Honky Tonk Woman being able to be used and a couple of the foundations I'll talk about at the end that are running at 4 ofs. It's just the ability to re-ready stuff is also good.
God Thunder's just
one
nuts.
thing that Water doesn't have, unless you're playing Celestial Being, which is in my sideboard, is being able to, not die to being stunned out and being able to ready your stuff with like God of Thunder can be relevant to make sure you don't die.
I agree. I've used 2 Balance Fighters twice in the same combat phase to live. So I understand the God of Thunder plan for sure. Yeah. It's crazy.
Very good with Balance Fighter.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And then the last 2 of is his Gift of Immortal Blood. It's a fuel for giving your opponent momentum, which happens with me a lot. So for here locally, we have a Goro player that plays a lot, and this card's great because I just get to eat his attacks that he wants to get back into his momentum.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So if he's got like 2, coffee sambas or 2 missile launchers in his yard, I get to enhance with it. Hopefully, maybe get to God of Thunder to do it again on my next attack, and now he has no missile launchers, so he can get back with his ability.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's a really good defensive tech piece right there for like someone who like a Goro or whatever. That's really good.
Goro. It's also good with against Punch and Judy. You get to just eat away one of their copies of Punch or Judy doing that too. Yeah. So I haven't seen it as much locally, at least. But there's a lot. If there's a problem card, you don't want them getting back or anything. You can just eat it away.
Yeah.
And then of course its enhance is insane. It's -5 speed.
Yeah.
And it's playable while committed.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Because I'm right now of the believer that speed's a very relevant stat, and everybody's using a lot of it. If you look at a lot of the characters, Chun-Li, Morrigan, Lilith gives speed.
Yeah.
Gil.
Yep.
Akuma stuns you out, so that's pseudo speed.
Well, it's like
everybody does that.
He also has that Enlightened by Defeat, so he can add a bunch of speed onto one attack. So, you can also do that. That also helps you in that matchup too. So.
Yep. Yeah, the -5 is very clutch. There are a couple ways that the deck will utilize momentum, and this ends up being one of the defensive option is between like this and Sweet Nothings. But it's only 2. Because it's another 2 difficulty. There are plenty of other ways that I can not die from speed with like Balance Fighter and things.
Sure.
So the -5 speed doesn't always have to be used, but it's like a last resort kind of thing for me.
Yep.
So on to the 3-0s, I guess.
Sure.
I've got 3X designed for combat. I don't really think much needs to be said about this card.
The card's a staple. The card's been a staple since it's been out. So I totally agree. Same thing with the next card coming up too. Yeah, the next card.
Yeah.
You kind of have
Balance Fighter,
Yeah, you kind of play both of those together. You kind of do, So, but yeah.
No, for sure.
Definitely off and those 2 cards go into every symbol, and if you're not, you're doing it wrong. So there's no reason not to have card filter and then to have free speed reset on your attacks offensively or defensively.
100% agree. Yeah. So we'll go on to the next one then. Harrison's Lucky Day. My foundations are really good, and I don't like them being flipped.
Yeah.
So I want to have ways to make sure that I don't get to have that happen. And if I have to discard a card, sometimes drawing a card ends up helping.
Yep.
And it's also spam.
Yeah.
There's not many zeros. Again, like I said, I briefly watched. I watched the video that they did, where they said about how to beat Jedah.
Yeah.
And they don't. Water doesn't have a lot of spams, honestly. They got the new one, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah, it's a couple good. It got a new one out of this latest set, but yeah, I agree. They're all very you have Agile, and you have this, and you had that one Lilith one for the time being out of the tins, but now you have the newer one that you're going to talk about sooner. So.
Yep. next card, 3 Ageless and Wise. This card, I think, is going to start seeing play in every single deck that can play this at a 3 of, and you might run the 4th one in the board.
Yeah.
Its worst possible scenario is it's a 1/5 and that has a 2 low block, which is very good.
Yeah.
Its best case scenario is you're playing against things like myself.
Yep, the mirror match. Yep.
Because it stops Jedah's enhance.
Yep.
It stops his response.
Yes, it does.
You're playing against Lord Raptor, and it stops his ability to blow up one of your things.
Yep.
From hell, it'll stop from hell.
Yep.
Wait, no. I don't think it stops from hell because it's not actually making it leave.
After your opponent plays an ability that causes any number. Yeah, it's after. I don't know. I'll have to check on that because technically, they choose to blow up something. I'll have to check on that, but that I'll get back to you on that one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because of the wording.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, it's a really weird wording. Yeah. If it does, and that's pretty cool. I mean, it's respond flips, so from hell is no longer as big of a threat. You can, like, just take it. But
you can not die to it. That's for sure.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So
but this card's really good right now in all 3 of these symbols to not have ways to make sure your foundations don't just go away for any kind of a reason.
And order and to jump onto the order always needs spam. So this is a great, and same thing with like a low block spam card. So it's good to have multiple, like, because you have unmet demands, which is a +5, which is horrible. But this one's way better because it's a +2. It's just it's just an all around solid card. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Next one. This is the whole new spam foundation that I was talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the Lilith's Foundation. It's another one of those anti-stun cards because it re-readies itself. And if you want to play a reversal, you can enhance on your opponent's turn.
Yep.
To help play a reversal against them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that card's really good.
Yeah. It also helps you extend out on your aggressive turns too. If you have like 3 momentum and you're not using it for like Jedah's Rare or anything like that,
sure,
you can keep committing this and keep re-ready it at least once, but also get an extra +1 to your check. So your kill turns can be extended because of this card.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so the 4 ofs. So for me personally, whenever I play a 4 of a card, it's a card that is either really, really vital to the engine that I'm playing, or I just want to see that card basically every time.
Yeah.
First one, of course, is Reactive Style. 4 of in the deck. Yeah, it's a 2/4. It's a 3 high block. It's whatever. Its stats are honestly really bad.
Yeah, but the abilities are amazing.
But the ability on it is too good to pass up.
Yeah.
The flip discard one of your opponent's momentum means that on my turn, so if I go first and I build this and then I attack you turn 1, I debuild you 1, and then I get rid of the momentum. And then your turn, if you decide to attack me for any kind of a reason, I get to debuild you again. So you've lost 2 foundations, and if you're a 6-hander, you maybe built 4.
Yeah.
But an average we'll probably say is 3, I guess.
Sure. No, that's fair to say.
So it's just, it goes with Jedah too well. The response is pretty good. Sorry if there's a notification noise. It's my phone.
No, it's fine. No worries. No, I don't even hear it. You're good.
Okay, cool, good. And the response is good too. If I need an extra momentum for any kind of a reason, I just get to add right away.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, the deck has not really any snap momentum except for Fatality.
Yeah.
So being able to just get a momentum on the fly can be useful. It also can be used defensively. You get hit by an attack, then you can fuel your Sweet Nothings or your Gift of Immortal Blood.
Yeah.
So you don't die to their next attack.
Sure.
Next one is Glacial Assault. So I actually didn't run this card initially, and I don't know why I didn't. I think I'm just an idiot.
I'm thinking the same thing, because I didn't do it either. Because now that I think about it, this card's nuts in him. But continue. Go ahead. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not running this either.
It's okay. It's because I built the deck, and thank you, Tamara Caldwell, who mentioned me in his video. I'll mention him in this just because I'm talking about this card. He initially talked to me and he's like, "Why aren't you playing this card?" Basically, and I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know why. I just decided not to run it." And so I ran 4, and I'm like, "Why was I never running this card?"
Yeah.
So with things like God of Thunder, you get to like blow this up to re-ready something and then get a face down. So you get to get 2 ready foundations basically.
Yeah.
You get to blow it up with Jedah's ability to make them eat one of their cards in their momentum, and you're supposed to lose one, but you don't.
But you don't.
This one replaces itself.
Yep.
If it's on its face up and everything, you get to use the enhance and give 1 speed to your 5 diff attacks. There's not many, but they're already really fast.
Yeah.
So his ultra rare is a low 5 with stun 1, and his high attack is a high 6.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I have 4 of future poolside date. I actually didn't have this card in here initially until I was talking with Phil Birch, fellow team member, and Legendary Wolf Games team member. Had to plug it in there at least once.
Yeah, you're good, dude. No problem.
He was like, I think this card's insane. And I'm like, okay, that's I can get behind playing this card. I'll try it out. And I tried it out as a 4 of. And I've not died a lot of times because of this card.
Okay. Just because of the speed redux, or just because of the fact that you can destroy it with something and that you can blow it up with like his ability or God of Thunder, gain the 2, and then like maybe you can bring it back and then blow it up again, something like that.
Yep. Life gain for sure.
Yeah.
One of the best things, one of the best feelings is just playing out your turn, and your turn ends on having this card on top.
Yeah. Going
into your opponent's turn.
Sure.
And immediately your opponent doesn't want to attack you because you're going to gain a bunch of life.
Yeah.
But it's really good because it's got the playable while committed speed reduction. So it's another thing that doesn't care if it gets stunned out.
Yeah.
You can still make it easy to block their attacks. You're able to discard cards like Balance Fighter. So you're discarding a card, but then you're drawing a card anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It gives you another outlet, yeah.
If you have a Honky Tonk Woman in play, you can, if there's a foundation in your hand that you didn't play the last turn, but you need it now in your staging area, you can discard it something, give it minus speed, and then Honky Tonk to get it back committed. And if we're in Magical Christmas Land, and we have God of Thunder, we get to re-ready it.
Yeah. And then if this is on top again, because one of the things that Tam did in Collinsville was he would have this on top, gain, blow something up, bring it back, or like he would use momentum, bring the momentum back. Since this card is technically a new card on top, you can gain 2 again on the same future pull set.
Yes, you can.
Yes, that's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fun. And because you also can potentially get a decent number of since you can get face down foundations with Glacial Assault, sometimes you'll have it face down, so your opponent doesn't even realize they have to play around it.
Oh, sure.
And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'll use this God of Thunder, blow up this face down foundation, and boom, there's a future poolside date on your discard pile.
Yeah. And
now you're gaining life that they didn't account for if they weren't playing around it before. Since they didn't see it.
That could screw up an attack turn so bad. That's awesome.
I did. That's how I actually lived one of my games. I was playing against the Goro deck and ended up blowing up the face down foundation, which was my future poolside, to gain like an extra 4 or 6 life.
Oh wow!
And I was left to run 2 or 3.
Oh wow, that's great.
So yeah, it's put in its work. It's also a 1-diff, so it's like it's not hard to play. Like it's not a block. Yeah. But it's whatever. Like we have ways to filter through not having blocks.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're gonna want to see 4 of this anyways, just because of the crazy shenanigans you can do with this card anyway. So you're gonna want to see it all the time. So it's worth it.
Yeah, your crazy turn is have a future poolside in play, discard 1 to minus speed, gain some life off that one, blow up this one that's in play, gain 2 life off of that, Honky Tonk, put it back into play, gain another 2 life off it. It's just, there's so many dumb things with this card.
That's dumb.
And you just gain 6 or 8 life in an enhanced step randomly. And now that was the issue I initially had with Jedah, was there's no life gain.
Yeah.
And from playing Vega, I'm only playing with 9 vitality with that character, but I had ways to gain back up to 9.
Yeah.
Jedah doesn't have life gain, so having this, that's also another reason why. This is the only way that you can gain life in this deck.
Okay.
And I'm fine with that. Going back up to 20. I like having 28 life now.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Yeah, it's very nice having a big body to sit behind. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
And the last card, the last foundation that I have as a 4X is My Beautiful Child. I think I agree with what they were saying. Again, I've probably talked about the video once or twice now. They talked about how this card is just all right on UFSU.
Yeah.
I think in Chaos and Death, I do believe that because you have Hunt for Spiders and Dragons.
Yeah, for sure.
And I tried a version of this deck for Chaos and for Death. And I just didn't like what it was giving me. That Water gave me instead.
Yeah.
I think if you're playing Water, this card's nuts, especially in Jedah, because let's say you attack them on your second turn and you debuild them on with Jedah, and you have a Spaceland Beautiful Child out. So now their turn starts. If they decide not to attack you and they want to build, that's still fine because they'll build their foundation. You'll respond and remove this and put it to their momentum, and then Spaceland both of it away again. Yeah. So they're still back at 0, and then your turn you get to debuild them again as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's one of the common things that I usually do.
Yeah.
There are some foundations that I just don't like dealing with.
Sure.
Ageless and Wise, like all the answers to the deck, Pursuing a Vendetta, things like that. Yep. Those are really nice to eat away. Because it's basically doing what it's letting my ability go through.
Yeah. This seems like when I first saw this card, it kind of reminded me of a Faster Ever Hopeful, because you get rid of the problem foundation right away instead of waiting for an enhanced step. So it just seemed like a Faster Ever Hopeful for me.
And in a couple instances, this gets around things like Harrison's that normally can stop Hunt for Spiders and Dragons. But I think that line you're still playing Hunt anyway because they have to have that.
Yeah.
But the really rare thing that ends up happening is like when your opponent blocks with a foundation, and then you add it to their momentum, and now you have an extra damage on your attacks. So like if the damage ends up being relevant, it can be used for that. Just as a good thing to know.
Yep.
I guess there are a couple foundations you could eat if people are playing it. Cassie has the one that gives the damage +1 or -1 after an attack is played. That you can technically eat away. So it can come up where you do it where you're playing it against a block as well. But it's also got a 2 mid. So it's if you're blocking with it, you're also fine.
Yeah.
But that's enough on the foundations. Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and go on over to the attacks.
All right.
I have a one of Sprigio in the deck. I only really wanted it as a one of because it's not a card that I have to have. It's very good in the fact that if I just get to draw 2 cards off of it, I'm fine.
Yeah.
If you have 3 or 4 momentum, this is now a 6 damage attack, 5, 6, 7 damage attack on your turn.
Yeah.
That if it's dealing damage, I'm drawing 2. So do you really feel like half blocking, taking 3 or 4, or not blocking and taking 6 or 7, and then letting me draw 2 cards? So you usually get a block out of it.
Yeah.
But it's not the card I prefer to reversal with.
Sure.
And that'll be the attack I go up to later. But I think it's still good enough to have it at least a one of because I'm not sad to see it.
No. Because
it's also a really good block.
Yep. And it's one of those cards where you can, like we talked about earlier, where you block, use the R, use Jedah's R, and then you can possibly, if you have a space land and you haven't done his once per turn yet, you can potentially debuild them too on their turn, right? With that?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's not it's not bad.
Yeah. Because if they have 1 momentum already, and you need a way to give them momentum, and you have Spaceland, then yes, you block, respond with Jedah, respond with Spaceland. They had 0, and now your reversal, you get to enhance and eat another one away too. So it's very good. Next one is 2 of Ganymede Terrace. This is actually the most recent card that I put in here. I've killed people with this card way too many times.
This card's fun.
Holy crap!
This card's fun in him.
This card's really fun in him. I guess this could be one of the ones that you could cut for another attack if you have a preference over it. The only reason why I'm not running this at more than 2 of is the fact that it doesn't have a block.
Yeah.
If that had like I don't care. If that had a +3 block, this would be a 3 of. I don't care.
Oh yeah. This is a great opener, like a great poke. This is like a great like opener card because it's gonna hit them. For more often than not, they're not blocking this, and or it's a great finisher too because they're not gonna block it with if they have all that momentum. There's no way they're blocking this.
Nope. Yeah, you're very right. As a poke card, it is at the lowest form a mid-6 for 7 with stun 1 for a 4 difficulty.
It's stupid. It's so dumb.
If you have a way to give them any more momentum with things like Unmet Demands or Gift of Immortal Blood or anything like those 2 cards, now you're sending in a mid-8 for 8 with stun 1 as your first attack of the turn. Sounds fine to me.
Yeah.
But yes, and then it's just randomly. You've got 5 momentum. This is a mid 14 for 11.
Yeah, just randomly. Yep.
Here, have fun. Do you have a balance fighter? I really hope so. Yeah, I've killed people with this card a lot, but it's not at 3 because it doesn't have a block.
Yeah,
honestly. The only reason why.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I've got 2 Falling Heel Strikes. It's another low block, which is good. It's very strong to have. But honestly, get to unflip my reactive style, so I get multiple uses of reactive style.
Yep, or Honky Tonk.
Why I love it. Or Honky Tonk.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah, Honky Tonk also save the Sea Rats.
Yeah.
They've brought it up before. You get to play. You get to have them get a momentum with Jedah's ability. Then you Sea Rats them, so they eat one of their cards. Then you unflip it with this one, and then now, since Save the Sea Rats is a face-up again, you can use its ability again, and they've eaten 2 cards from their hand.
Yeah.
And now this is a high 4 for 7 with stun 1 as your potential first attack.
Jeez.
So it's very good. I think the Unflip Foundation, just that having to do that and everything, so it means you have to have one out there. I don't think sometimes I actually don't have a foundation that's flipped.
Sure.
For some reason. So sometimes the card can be underwhelming, but that's also why it's not more than 2 because usually it's fine. Next 2 of Fatality. I don't run more because I don't need to see it, but having an uninteractable Jedah enhance is really cool.
Yeah.
If my opponent has Ageless and Wise and Pursuing a Vendetta and all those things that would normally stop my ability, I don't care.
Sure, yeah.
So, and if I want to do really fun things on my turn with maybe putting a bunch of momentum in, like giving them a bunch of momentum, between like Gift and God of Thunder and all those kind of things, I just get an enhanced step where I don't care about my opponent. Like my opponent can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and you can just you're free to load them up on momentum while you're trying to kill them. Yeah, no,
exactly.
Yep.
And then Snap Momentum, it's useful. The momentum is definitely used in the deck, so being able to just get momentum is very good too. And the fact that just eating cards away from your opponent's graveyard. Again, there are just cards that you don't want in there, so yeah. Sure. There's more that could be said about this card, obviously, but that's
this card's nuts. Yeah,
for another day.
Yeah, the card's pretty good.
The next 2 of is his ultra rare, Sanguine Sacrificale. I think is how it's pronounced. I just call it Blood Sacrifice.
Yep, that's what it is. I think that's what it translates to. I think so.
Believe so. Yeah, this card's great. Like, it's a 2 check, so it's like that's why I only have it as a 2 of, because there are a lot of 2 difficulty foundations in this deck, as we went through them all. So checking this card early can hurt you a lot. So I don't run it as more. If I did, I would cut some 2 ofs and put more like 1 diff and 0 diff foundations in the deck.
Sure.
But yeah, so I kind of already went over the little interaction between itself and Spaceland. So that one's really good. Drawing 2 cards is great. This basically turns Jedah into a 9 hand size if I poke with it.
That's pretty good.
As a reversal, I get to eat one of your foundations and draw 2 cards, and I'm shoving a this is for 7 to 8 damage with stun 1. Like, there's just everything about this card I think is good.
Yeah.
The next one is the Spirali Divina. The other deadlock ability that you get from this deck.
Yeah, it's pretty
still
good.
There?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you went so silent. I was like, man, I thought something.
No, I'm here. I'm just listening to you talk, so you're good.
Okay. Yeah. If this is a poke card, it's great. I'm an 8-hand size now. Because I will almost every single time take the 1 card before taking the 1 damage if I use Jedah first. Yeah. Because this says if they have 0 momentum, I get to draw a card. So you use this one first to draw, and then you use Jedah's ability to give them the momentum to draw again.
Yeah.
So this card replaces itself, and its deadlock ability is nuts.
Yeah, I can understand why the water may not have that many deadlock effects, because their deadlock effects are really good. I understand, but hindsight, the good symbol has a bunch of good ones, and they have deadlock all over the place. So that's whatever. But yeah, this
So the best thing with this deck is the fact that like this deck honestly can play playing a really long game. Depending on like what I get in my attacks and everything, and how well that you're blocking my stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm almost never worried about going into deadlock, because this deck has so many ways to just blow up their foundations that if you're at deadlock, you go away from it immediately.
Sure. Yeah.
You block 1 attack, and now I respond with Jedah and blow up a foundation. Now I'm out of deadlock.
Yeah, and you also have God of Thunder to do that as well, and you have some stuff that actually destroys itself or removes itself, so you don't even have to ever really worry about it that much.
Yeah. Beautiful Child, Sweet Nothings, all those cards, Unmet Demands, they all blow themselves up, so the deck never really sits in deadlock unless I choose for it to.
Sure.
But I'm only really ever doing that if I'm playing against the deck that doesn't run any deadlocked. We all know the symbols that don't have them.
Yeah.
Mine, Death. Basically never go to deadlock against Good or Earth or Fire.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Because your missile launcher is going to kill you.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
But yeah, and then when this card, when your opponent has like a bunch of momentum, suddenly this attack is like, plus 8 damage between itself and Jedah.
Yeah.
So now it's a high 4 for 12.
Yep. Yeah, I liken this card to the old Robert kick from King of Fighters, Neomax, because when you block and when you reverse with it, you get to draw a card. It does a couple other utility things, but this just reminds me of one of those really good utility cards that it's good as a poke. It's good as like a mid-string. It's good as a finisher if you need to pump a bunch of damage. So it's just one of those cards that are just really, really like just one of those value cards that are amazing.
Yep. It's also got EX too.
Yeah.
So if all this momentum, I also get to just give it a bunch of speed as well.
Yeah.
So it's really good. I started after the King of Fighters stuff, so I didn't get to play with all those cards.
Sure.
And I could never find them.
Yeah.
But I know which one you're talking about. Next one, I love this card in this deck.
Yeah.
Virus Unchained. It's really strong. Let's talk about the worst part of this card. It's a +0 high block with Breaker 2.
Yeah.
Like,
that's great.
There's a lot of attacks that are high that are really good right now.
Yeah.
Man, that's a nice air ground smash. Thank God I have this +0 high block for that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm used to playing Flame Auras in Vega, so having a 0 high block is I'll take that. It's fine.
Yeah.
But and then basically saying I have Jedah's ability on a card is great. Because this will be the first attack that you play in a chain, honestly.
Yeah.
Or
go for it. I think
no,
I know.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
Or you block with this and then reversal, and now you've got like, oh man, if we're reversaling with this Spirali, and you have 2 momentum, you get to give this Spirali +6 damage on your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
So now this is a high 4 for 10.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Or if you do with his rare attack that you're going to talk about next, and you multiple it out, and you're just like throwing like 20 damage at someone's face. They're like, cool.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I'll go to the next one.
That's the dream is to block with that, and then use Jedah. Yeah, that's the dream. Yeah.
So it's really fun. This card's great. I love this one. Mm-hmm. It fuels itself if you respond and block with it, so you at least get a momentum. So if you don't have 2, you have 1, you're still fine.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, so in our perfect world where we block with this Virus Unchained and then we forget to break her to you.
Yeah.
We're incentivizing my opponent now to attack again. So now we get to block with this Jedah to get the momentum.
Yeah.
This is, of course, if we only have 1. If we have 2, then we don't care.
Yeah. Exactly.
But if we have 1 momentum, then we get to play this Jedah and reversal it and multiple 2 on their turn. And if they have 2 or 3 momentum, this is getting plus, 4 or 6 damage per. So this is now. So we'll say 2 is the likely one.
Yeah.
So you're giving plus 4 to all these.
Yeah.
So now this is 21 damage coming to you on your turn.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's how I kill more people with Jedah than I kill people with Jedah more than I do with anything else, because of the whole multiple 2 thing. And then reversaling and then just dumping 20 damage onto them, just randomly. So.
Or you also played at the end of your string.
Yeah, you can do that too. Yep.
You've played 3 other attacks on your turn, and now all of a sudden this 3 diff multiple 2 plus 4 damage to each multiple is killing you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kill people with Jedah a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's also and blocking with it is easy too, because it's only this card's great in him.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of him, you probably don't really ever play this card because it's range. I mean, it's a range reversal, and you get to block and reversal with it and get a momentum. But I mean, not having multiples makes it really lackluster.
Yeah, it's just all it does is give you snap momentum, and that's pretty much it.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're playing these symbols, there are plenty of usual ways to get the momentum anyway. Yeah. So, but Jedah is just it's just so dumb, and I love it.
Yeah.
The last attack is his 5 diff, the False Inizio. It's another really good poke card. It's another low block. So for blocking with attacks it's fine. I don't mind doing it. I've never minded doing that. It's a +1, so it's. But unlike Spirali, that says your opponent has to have 0 momentum to draw a card, this one doesn't care.
Yeah.
So you get to play Jedah's Enhance first, and then you get to play this one to get the extra damage.
Yep.
So, but it means you also get to draw a card. So between this attack and Spirali and Sanguine, your attacks basically almost always get to replace the main ones you want to start with get to replace themselves.
Yep. That's what I found. I found that playing I guess not say that this type of water deck with him is that it draws more cards than symbols that usually are known to draw cards, like an all deck or whatever. He draws so many cards. It's just insane how many cards he can draw.
I agree. Yeah, if we're playing, we get to draw 2 cards on our turn between Jedah and one of the attacks we're hopefully playing, if it's False or Spirali. And then on our opponent's turn, if they attack us and we've gotten rid of their momentum, we get to also draw another card. And if we're reversaling with either False, Spirali, or Sanguine, we get to draw even more cards.
Yeah, that's
so you feel that's why this deck is this deck I think is 71 cards plus character, even though it's a 6 hand size, because we just filtered through so many cards anyway that we usually see all of our deck every time. And I also don't want to mill out, obviously.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, and the fact that this is a 5 difficulty actually ends up coming up with Glacial Assault. There was one game where I think I had 3 Glacial Assaults out, so these are all high 8s.
Oh, cool. That's neat.
Here. Yeah.
It's cool, man.
So the and his ultra rare is a 5. So now this is a low 6 or a low 7 with stun 1.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
It's good to make use of at least both the abilities on Glacial.
For sure.
We want to blow it up, but being able to pump speed is good too.
Yeah, because that's one thing I found out with him is that if you can't pump speed, his stuff gets blocked pretty easily. Like as long as the longer the game goes on, I should say. So you need some way to push through damage if the foundation denial thing kind of falls through a bit, just because things happen. It's a card game, so you need like a backup plan, and that +1 speed could make or break a turn. You know.
Yep. That's why Ganymede's so good too, because it just gets so if we're just dumping a bunch of stuff into momentum and we're not debuilding our opponent anymore, Ganymede just gets to a stupid speed.
Yep.
And they have to have Balance Fighter to be able to stop it, or Revoke to stop the Enhance.
Yep.
But no, I agree. Yeah, sometimes you just don't get the pieces you need to keep their momentum away, so you're playing a bit of a different game than you intentionally started out with, and you're just giving them a bunch of momentum. And that's where like that kind of game plan I think goes better with playing like the destruction ways that people are going to play with this deck.
Yeah.
I personally don't. I tried playing that card and I basically replaced his ultra rare because I didn't want to run both.
Yeah.
1 and 2 check in the deck.
Sure.
And I think almost every single time I saw distraction, I'd rather have his ultra rare.
Yeah. I agree. I'm not a big fan of 1 checks, so I usually tend not to play them. If it's, like I don't even play. I played Coffee Samba in a couple decks, but I'm not a big fan of the 1 checks because usually more often than not they bite me in the ass than not. So.
Hey man, it's just how it goes.
Yeah.
I played 7 of Nats, and it killed me 1 time. So to be fair though, out of Nats was 8 rounds.
Yeah.
Or 7.
I know it was at least 7. It was at least 7.
So out of 7 rounds plus the top 16, a 1 check only killed me 1 time.
That's not bad. That's not horrible.
So I think, and I've kind of like I used to never play more than 60 cards in a deck, including character.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to never play anything less than a 3 check.
Oh, okay.
That was back in my old days where I was very passive and restricted in playing cards.
Yeah.
Now look at me, I'm playing 70 cards and 7 1 checks in the deck. But basically, I just think that like the 1 checks, if like the foundation base is there, so you don't die if you check it on your first turns.
Sure.
Usually the payoff for your 1 checks, in my personal opinion of playing the game, will pay off more than they will kill you.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's just me though.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that.
So
yeah.
So I guess I have no assets.
Sure.
In the deck, I did play one of his castle initially, just to try it out and see if I liked it enough. But I never really enjoyed it. The deck itself, if you don't play some of these foundations, I could see you playing that card.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not playing 4 reactive styles, or if you're not playing, his asset had all of his symbols, yeah?
I believe it. I can look it up real quick.
No, it didn't. It had Death, Void, and Water.
Okay, that's right.
So if you're playing Death, then I could see you maybe playing one of this card, because you don't get things like Spaceland.
Sure.
But I think there's enough ways that you can get rid of your opponent's momentum without running this card.
Yeah.
Because it's not a foundation that you're building. I kind of agree with a lot of people have been saying about assets. I don't really think any of them are being played except for like Swordfish.
Yeah.
Or decks that are specifically playing around an asset, like when Jeremy Ray played the Runica deck.
Yeah, or
obviously 4 Battle Fists are in that.
That or Graven Castle, that's another deck, and then Homemade Explosives gets played just because I think it's just a nice snap draw and damage pump, damage negation, damage redux. So for the most part,
yeah. But no, I messed with it, and the ability's all right. I think if you want to play the card, you actually probably, if you think it's going to be that useful, you probably end up playing it at 2, because it's one of those cards that you still kind of want to see. It's like a win more kind of thing.
Okay.
But it goes really well with him since there's really not many first forms that you're going to be playing in that deck. But with Water, I don't think you play that card.
Yeah, there's too many other.
And then
there's too many other cards that. There's too many other cards that just get rid of momentum off of Water that you don't even need it. So.
exactly. Yeah. And then the actions. I'm only running one bang with the other two in the sideboard.
Sure.
There's a claim to maybe do that with like a 2 of that and 2 out of your leagues and just do a 1-1 split in the board. But I think being able to stop responses is going to save me more than sealing something.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can't think of too many things that I like is going to just kill me outright if I don't seal it.
Yeah.
I guess there's not really much else I can say about this card. I mean, everyone knows that the card's insane.
Oh yeah, everyone knows it's top, like easily one of the top 5, maybe top 10 cards in the game for sure.
Yeah, being able to turn off your opponent's ability, you know, on their character, which is kind of like a centerpiece usually, is always fine. Turning off opposing Jedahs on their attack turn is good. It means that their attacks don't kill me, or I can make it so they can't damage reduction me anymore. It's really cool with Raptor because now on my turn, he no longer has flash for all of his, or not flash, but breaker for all of his blocks.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Goro doesn't kill you. I'm trying to think of like Vega, obviously, things like that. I mean, we all know the characters that'll end up getting anyway, but I think that I don't think my character dies a lot to not being able to seal something. Whereas Out of Your League, I think, is just really I think Out of Your League is an insane card.
Yeah. Moving on to that. Yeah, I think there's too many good responses in the game right now to the fact that this card is easily it's one of those top cards in the actions. Like, if you can run it, you do, because there's no reason not to run it, because people always play responses, and if you're not playing responses, your deck's probably not very good, you know. So but yeah,
and that's it. That's in no way a shot to anybody, obviously, but I agree. If you're not playing some kind of responses in your deck, I think you do need to look at your deck and maybe move some cards around to fit some in there.
For sure. Yeah, I didn't mean that as a slight towards anybody. I'm reiterating what Shane Duckworth told me one time, is that if your deck doesn't have responses, you may want to look back at it for the most part.
Yeah. So, No. I couldn't think of anybody that would be even directed towards. I guess I'm more for for new players that might not be having them or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that you definitely want responses in your deck. So Balance Fighter, I get to make sure that doesn't reset my Ganymede Terrorists.
Yep.
I like my multiples going through, so Prepare to Fights don't get to kill me.
Stops Revoke.
Revokes stopping my enhances because I like my enhances.
Yeah.
If they're trying to stop my responses with their Out of Your League, I get to stop their There's just so many things that it stops, obviously.
Yep.
I've definitely won games because of it, because my opponent tried to prepare to fight my multiples, and I just get to say no to it.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a beating when they're expecting to pitch all your multiples and you Out of Your League it, and they're just like, they're just like, well, all right, cool, man. You know.
Yep. Opposing Jedah's trying to Jedah me on my turn. Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't like dealing with my own attacks. Thank you very much. And then of course, 3 Prepare to Fights.
Yep.
I actually just don't run it at 4, just because I think the actions that are already there, if I was to play the 4th one, I don't know if I can't see myself running 8 actions.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cut Out of Your League or bang. And multiple, it's there obviously, but it's not like, holy crap, the field's going to have a lot of multiple attacks going into this tournament.
Sure.
So it's doesn't need to be run at 4.
Yeah.
But it's another one of those cards that we can look at it. We all know why it's good. And there's not really any other reason to go too much into the card.
No, for sure. I agree. Onto the board.
Sideboard. This is where you can probably change around a couple cards, I will say. The first one being I've got the 2 High Sea Adventures. It was a card I was going to run in the main board of the deck. but it's another 3 difficulty. It's another 4 check.
Yeah.
It's another non-block. And there are just some times where I don't care if my opponent gets to play all their attacks.
Yeah.
There are some decks that all their attacks I can just deal with, and that's fine. This is for the decks that have attacks that I can't deal with, that I just don't want to have an enhanced step. Like, I don't really feel like getting hit by Coffee Samba too much.
Yeah.
Or Missile Launcher for that matter. Now, I know a lot of decks are going to play it, obviously, but there are plenty of times where you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
It's still honestly a card that I could probably even go down to 1 or 0 of.
Sure.
To replace with other stuff. But the card still is very good in the time that you'll need it.
Yeah. No, it's one of those cards that it's good to have it if you need it. And if you really didn't, I don't know, it's like if you really need it and you got it, that's great. But if you didn't really need it, or it goes both ways, because sometimes there's decks like look at Raptor. You'll never side this in against Raptor ever. Or like maybe like a Goro or an Earth Fire Evil deck. You'll probably do that too. You'll side that in. It just depends on the sideboard's very liquid because it's all depending on what the meta is going to be like. And like you said, if you can deal with most attacks, you're probably never going to like after game 1. If you felt like your defense was good enough to hold up, you probably will never side this card in.
Exactly. So it's pretty strong when like against like if your opponent's playing like Graven Castle stuff and they lead off with a Black Dog and they have one in their discard pile, it's also not that bad to go ahead and just give it flash so they can't go ahead and use the enhance to put that in there. And also against like Faye, because she does a whole lot of stuff during her enhanced step, especially like if you're looking at like Tavern's Windmill Punch deck that he did. Giving the Windmill Punch flash is great because then he can't filter through all of his momentum, a bunch of times. So, yeah, there are matchups that you bring it in, but there are definitely matchups where you're just not really worried about it. So that's why it's there. I have 2 Celestial Beings in here. I don't like getting stunned out. But it's in the board because there are ways that my deck already deals with stun if it's like light. So like not super crazy, not like Coffee Samba level stun. Which I think honestly is probably one of the only decks that this really gets brought in against, or Jet. And Jet. Sorry, because Jet increases. So for Jet and like Coffee Samba decks, this is fine. But for the decks that like are playing like, I've got, a stun ability here, a stun ability there. We have ways to deal with that. So we don't need to stop, like, massive stun 4, stun 5s.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree.
Or momentum dump. They were talking about it as well, that this card's really, like, this card is good against Jedah because it can enhance and discard 2 momentum. But you don't want to have 0, so discarding 2 can be bad. So it can be used, but you have to be really careful with it.
Yeah, the best, like, I think me playing Jedah personally is when my opponent sits at 1 and I'm struggling to find a way to give him 1 more momentum so I can space land it. So you want like singular discard momentums, not like dump a bunch of it unless you can sit at 1.
Definitely. That's where stuff like dreaming of becoming whole is good for that because that can just pitch a momentum every time. The worst thing that I had is this week we played for our locals and God, I keep talking about this Gorb because we play so many times in this tournament. Just over the course of all the weeklies we play, I play against him every time. And man, I really don't like Aether Leg.
Oh yeah, I don't like it either.
I get to feel that card. Against Goro. Like, oh, here, give you your momentum, and you're just gonna discard it and get 4 foundations. He played Aether Leg on me on like every single turn because he had it in his top 8 cards basically. So that card can really hurt Jedah too because that's getting rid of the momentum and building 2 foundations at the same time. Which is what Jedah does not want you to do.
Oh, for sure.
So if you're playing those symbols and you don't want to die to Jedah, that's also probably a pretty good card to play. I have 2 formidable tasks. This actually was very recent, and I think this is only just because I think Earthfire and evil attacks in general are very good.
Yes, they are.
And yeah, just being able to seal them is fine. I could go over all the evil attacks, but I mean, there's the big one that stares in everybody's face, and we all know what it is, which also happens to have fire.
Yep.
It has earth as well. Doesn't it just have all three of those?
Yeah,
symbols?
it has all three of those symbols. Yes. Yeah, it does. Yep.
Yeah. So seal target coffee.
Yep.
Seal, 2/3 of missile launcher.
Yep.
These are all cards I'm okay with not having text.
Yeah, me too. Another cool. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say but this could also just end up being one of the cards that like gets put down to only being at 1 for like another thing that possibly will be really good. But I just haven't thought of it yet. And I think having the ability to seal, because I think the hardest thing for my deck to be able to go through is those really, really dumb attacks that will utilize momentum very heavily, like missile launcher and coffee. And so finding ways to just not die to those cards
is important.
I think was really good. But it's not like I need it in the main board because the deck is very good with its own engine. So that's why it's there.
Sure. Playing this card, I had this in my Jedah, and a cool thing, I'd always like to block. If I had it, I was able to block with it. I would be able to respond with Jedah and then technically kind of build a foundation because it comes down to my staging area committed. And then if you want to Gotta Thunder it to ready it, you can Gotta Thunder to ready it on like defensively, and that's pretty good too.
Yep. And you actually said that, and that's great. I have not actually put this card into my my main board yet in any of the matches because I've been really lazy, and for our weeklies, I just haven't put the 8 cards on my sideboard, so I'm not playing with the sideboard right now.
Yeah, I normally, we usually don't play with sideboards at locals either, so.
Yeah. But you mentioning that also is really cool, because you can block and respond with this and bring it down to your staging area committed, and then you can just use Jedah to blow it up and give them a momentum too.
Yeah. So you got some cool tricks with this card that you can do that,
Definitely. So for any reason, if you for some reason can't blow up anything else, everything else is too good for its enhanced remove, or if you think if you don't have a way to ready it and you want to get the extra damage reduction but don't want to get rid of other foundations, you can also do that too, which is good, which is probably a fine play.
Yep.
And then 2 more bangs for the matchups that I just need to seal my opponent.
That's never a bad
or
card.
the specific cards. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard for me to specifically say, like, I mean, what matchups did I bring it in against? But like when you play against the deck, and there's that thing that you died to, and you just know what it was, like that's what you bring this in against. That's what you bring it in for.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, that is my Jedah deck that has gone through lots of testing. I started building him literally on the drive back from Nats when I figured out what his character did.
Nice.
And we've gotten to this 71 now. Sweet.
So before we go, any shout outs to anybody you want to give before we end the episode?
So I'm gonna suck up. I'm gonna shout out to you for letting me come on here. I honestly did not expect to be able to come up here with the deck. I just knew that you were doing deck tech.
Yep.
And I really like Jedah, and I wanted to see what you were possibly doing about it. So thanks for letting me.
No. You're welcome, man. It makes put less work on me having to build other decks and try them out, and then because I've kind of had some testing done with some of the decks I've built. So, but I'm glad that I like getting the community involved into these things because I get multiple points of view instead of my own, and that's always good because more heads looking at a deck, more eyes on it usually means that it's going to get better. So. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. I will give my shout out to of course my sponsor that so humbly let me play under their name, Legendary Wolf Games. Take your gaming from ordinary to legendary, my friends. They've being able to talk with all them and everything has been really nice. I've exchanged a lot of conversations with Phil Birch, who is also with them, and he's given me a lot of insight with cards that he thinks are really good and everything. So we go back and forth. He's the other person that's mainly playing Vega, so that's where I got a lot of my help from for Nats as well. I'll still give my shout outs to for like Tamron Caldwell, and Barrett, as they've been talking with me a bunch about the deck too. I've talked to this list to a bunch of different people.
Cool. That's the way to do it. Yeah.
This is more than likely going to be the deck that I play at any of the upcoming PTCs that I'm able to go to.
Okay.
Barring any set releases where cards change.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm on this deck. And then I guess just a shout out to our local area for our local store that we have. Jerseys. They're the ones that we play at now since Pocket's no longer around.
Yeah.
We play there and everything.
Okay.
So
cool.
having somewhere to be able to go, because before when Pocket was gone, there was like a time where we weren't sure.
Yeah.
So that's where I get all my weeklies in.
Good.
Mainly with my best play tester, Les Hubbard. So
sweet.
I don't know how to do shout outs really.
Oh, you're good, dude. No, you're fine. You're doing fine, man. You're great. So, all right. Okay, so everyone, like, comment, subscribe, comment. Let Will know what you guys think about his deck. He'll probably appreciate the extra testing if you guys play it. Let him know what your feedback is, because any feedback's good feedback. Again, look out for the Ken episode, which is coming tomorrow. This is the second to last video. Ken 2. Is our last video to round out the series. We're probably going to have Will back on whenever the next set drops, because he gave us a really good deck profile. We're going to probably touch him again and be like, hey, we need your expertise on these things. So we'll look forward to having you back, Will. So
I appreciate that, man. That'll be fun. I'll make sure that I look at the next set and get some fun decks together.
Sweet. All right, man. All right, so thanks again, and everyone have a good night. Talk to you later.